The Kingdom of Hawaii was established in 1795 with the unification of the independent islands of Hawaiʻi, Maui, Molokaʻi, and Lānaʻi into one government. In 1810 the whole of the archipelago was finally unified when Kauaʻi and Niʻihau joined the kingdom willingly and without bloodshed or war. The kingdom was overthrown January 17, 1893 and has since become part of the United States as the state of Hawaii. Due to numerous treaties, international law as well as US congressional and presidential agreements, many native Hawaiians consider Hawaii to be an illegally occupied nation and support the Hawaiian sovereignty movement. Origins: before the founding of a formal, United Kingdom, the islands were all ruled by independent alii nui or supreme executives. All of these rulers come from a hereditary line descended from the first Polynesian, Papa, who would become the Earth Mother goddess of the Hawaiian religion. Captain James Cook would stumble across the islands but would be killed while attempting to kidnap the alii nui of Hawaii Island in 1779. 3 years later Hawaii would pass to Kalani Angstrom Pu'u's son, Kauaʻi Angstrom, while religious authority was passed to the ruler's nephew, Kamehameha. A series of battles, lasting 15 years, was led by the warrior chief who would become Kamehameha the Great. The Kingdom of Hawaii was established with the help of Western weapons and advisors, such as John Young and Isaac Davis. Although successful in attacking both Oʻahu and Maui, he failed to secure a victory in Kauaʻi, his effort hampered by a storm and a plague that decimated his army. Eventually, Kauaʻi's chiefs swore allegiance to Kamehameha. The unification ended the ancient Hawaiian society, transforming it into an independent constitutional monarchy crafted in the traditions and manner of European monarchs. Kamehameha dynasty From 1810 to 1893, the Kingdom of Hawaii was ruled by two major dynastic families, the House of Kamehameha and the Kalakaua dynasty. 5 members of the Kamehameha family led the government styled as Kamehameha. Lunalilo was a member of the House of Kamehameha through his mother. Niʻihau and Kauaʻi were direct sons of Kamehameha the Great. For a period of Niʻihau and Kauaʻi's reigns, the primary wife of Kamehameha the Great, Queen Keaumenu, ruled as Queen Regentum Kuiananui, or Prime Minister. Military: the Hawaiian Army and Navy developed from the warriors of Kona under Kamehameha, who unified Hawaii in 1810. The Army and Navy used both traditional canoes and uniforms including helmets made of natural materials and loincloths as well as Western technology like artillery cannons, muskets, and European ships. European advisors were captured, treated well and became Hawaiian citizens. When Kamehameha died in 1819 he left his son Niʻihau a large arsenal with tens of thousands of men and many warships. This helped put down the revolt at Kuamao later in 1819 and Humhume's rebellion on Kauai in 1824. During the Kamehameha dynasty the population in Hawaii was ravaged by epidemics following the arrival of outsiders. The military shrank with the population, so by the end of the dynasty there was no Hawaiian Navy and only an army, consisting of several hundred troops. After a French invasion that sacked Honolulu in 1849 Kamehameha III sought treaties with the United States and Britain to become a protectorate state. During the outbreak of the Crimean War, in Europe, Kamehameha III declared Hawaii a neutral state. After Hawaii became a protectorate of the United States strong pressure was put on Kamehameha IV to make trade exclusively to the United States even annexing the islands. To counterbalance this situation Kamehameha IV and Kamehameha V pushed for alliances with other foreign powers, especially Great Britain. Hawaii claimed uninhabited islands in the Pacific including the northwestern Hawaiian Islands, many of which came into conflict with American claims. Following the Kamehameha dynasty the Royal Guards were disbanded under Lunalilo after a barracks revolt in September 1873 until his death leaving Hawaii solely protected by the United States who had wavering support of the monarchy. The small army was restored under King Kalakaua but failed to stop the 1887 rebellion by the missionary party. In 1891 Queen Liliuokalani came to power. The elections of 1892 were followed with petitions and requests from her administration to change the Constitution of 1887. The U.S. protectorate policy was that at least one U.S. cruiser must be present in Hawaii at all times. On January 17, 1893, Liliuokalani, believing the U.S. military would intervene if she changed the Constitution, waited for the USS Boston to leave port. Once it was known that Liliuokalani was revising the Constitution, the Boston was recalled and assisted the missionary party in her overthrow. In 1993, the U.S. Congress passed the Apology Resolution, admitting wrongdoing and issuing an apology. Following the overthrow and the establishment of the Provisional Government of Hawaii, the kingdom's military was disarmed and disbanded. The French Incident. Under the rule of Queen Kauaʻi, the powerful newly converted Protestant widow of Kamehameha the Great, Catholicism was illegal in Hawaii, and in 1831 chiefs loyal to her forcibly deported French Catholic priests. Native Hawaiian converts to Catholicism claimed to have been imprisoned, beaten and tortured after the expulsion of the priests. The prejudice against the French Catholic missionaries remained the same under the reign of her successor, the Kauaʻi II. In 1839 Captain Laplace of the French frigate Arthur Copyright sailed to Hawaii under orders to destroy the malevolent impression which you find established to the detriment of the French name. To rectify the erroneous opinion which has been created as to the power of France. And to make it well understood that it would be to the advantage of the chiefs of those islands of the ocean to conduct themselves in such a manner as not to incur the wrath of France. You will exact, if necessary with all the force that is yours to use, complete reparation for the wrongs which have been committed, and you will not quit those places until you have left in all minds a solid and lasting impression. Under the threat of war, King Kamehameha III signed the Edict of Toleration on July 17, 1839 and paid the $20,000 in compensation for the deportation of the priests and the incarceration and torture of converts, agreeing to Laplace's demands. The kingdom proclaimed that the Catholic worship be declared free, throughout all the dominions subject to the King of the Sandwich Islands. The members of this religious faith shall enjoy in them the privileges granted to Protestants. The Roman Catholic Diocese of Honolulu returned unpersecuted, and as reparation Kamehameha III donated land for them to build a church upon. The Paulette Affair. An even more serious threat occurred on February 13, 1843. Lord George Paulette of the Royal Navy warship HMS Carrisford, entered Honolulu Harbour and demanded that King Kamehameha III cede the islands to the British Crown. Under the guns of the frigate, Kamehameha III surrendered to Paulette on February 25, writing to his people. Where are you, chiefs, people, and commons from my ancestors, and people from foreign lands? Hear ye. I make known to you that I am in perplexity by reason of difficulties into which I have been brought without cause, therefore I have given away the life of our land. Hear ye. But my rule over you, my people, and your privileges will continue, for I have hoped that the life of the land will be restored when my conduct is justified. Done at Honolulu, Oʻahu, this 25th day of February, 1843. Kamehameha III, Kakolawai, Dr. Jarrett P. Judd, a missionary who had become the Minister of Finance for the kingdom, secretly arranged for J.F.B. Marshall to be envoy to the United States, France and Britain, to protest Paulette's actions. Marshall, a commercial agent of Ladd and Company, conveyed the kingdom's complaint to the Vice-Consul of Britain in Tepque. Rear Admiral Richard Darton Thomas, Paulette's commanding officer, arrived at Honolulu Harbour on July 26, 1843 on HMS Dublin from Valparaiso, Chile. Admiral Thomas apologized to Kamehameha III for Paulette's actions, and restored Hawaiian sovereignty on July 31, 1843. In his restoration speech, Kamehameha III declared that Wai Mau Ka o Kai a Euro Ina I Ka Pono, the motto of the future state of Hawaii. The French invasion. In August 1849, French Admiral Louis Tromelin arrived in Honolulu Harbour with the Laporte Vanti and Gassenji. De Tromelin made 10 demands to King Kamehameha III on August 22, mainly demanding that full religious rights be given to Catholics. On August 25 the demands had not been met. After a second warning was made to the civilians, French troops overwhelmed the skeleton force and captured Honolulu Fort, spiked the coastal guns and destroyed all other weapons they found. They raided government buildings and general property in Honolulu, causing damage that amounted to $100,000. After the raids, the invasion force withdrew to the fort. De Tromelin eventually recalled his men and left Hawaii on September 5. Foreign relations. Anticipating this foreign encroachment on Hawaiian territory, King Kamehameha III had dispatched a delegation to the United States and Europe to secure the recognition of Hawaiian independence. Timoteo Hialilio, William Richards and Sir George Simpson were commissioned as joint ministers plenipotentiary on April 8, 1842. Sir George Simpson left for Great Britain while Hialilio and Richards to the United States on July 8, 1842. The Hawaiian delegation secured the assurance of U.S. President John Tyler on December 19, 1842 of Hawaiian independence, and then met Simpson in Europe to secure formal recognition by the United Kingdom and France. On March 17, 1843, King Louis-Philippe of France recognized Hawaiian independence at the urging of King Leopold I of Belgium. On April 1, 1843, Lord Aberdeen on behalf of Queen Victoria, assured the Hawaiian delegation that, Her Majesty's government was willing and had determined to recognize the independence of the Sandwich Islands under their present sovereign. Anglo-Franco Proclamation equals. On November 28, 1843, at the Court of London, the British and French governments formally recognized Hawaiian independence. The Anglo-Franco Proclamation, a joint declaration by France and Britain, signed by King Louis-Philippe and Queen Victoria, assured the Hawaiian delegation that Her Majesty the Queen of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland, and His Majesty the King of the French, taking into consideration the existence in the Sandwich Islands of a government capable of providing for the regularity of its relations with foreign nations, have thought it right to engage, reciprocally, to consider the Sandwich Islands as an independent state, and never to take possession, neither directly or under the title of protectorate, or under any other form, of any part of the territory of which they are composed. The undersigned, Her Majesty's Principal Secretary of State of Foreign Affairs, and the Ambassador Extraordinary of His Majesty the King of the French, at the Court of London, being furnished with the necessary powers, hereby declare, in consequence, that their said Majesties take reciprocally that engagement. In witness whereof the undersigned have signed the present declaration, and have affixed thereto the seal of their arms. Done in duplicate at London, the 28th day of November, in the year of our Lord, 1843. Aberdeen. Ls. St. Alair. Ls. Hawaii was thus the first non-European indigenous state to be admitted into the family of nations. The United States declined to join with France and the United Kingdom in this statement. Even though President John Tyler had verbally recognized Hawaiian independence, it was not until 1849 that the United States formally recognized Hawaii as a fellow nation. November 28 became a national holiday to celebrate the recognition of Hawaii's independence. The Hawaiian Kingdom entered into treaties with most major nations and established over 90 legations and consulates. Dynastic rule by the Kamehameha family ended in 1872 with the death of Kamehameha V. Upon his deathbed, he summoned High Chiefess Bernice Pauahi Bishop to declare his intentions of making her heir to the throne. Bernice refused the crown and Kamehameha V died without naming an heir. The refusal of Bishop to take the crown forced the legislature of the kingdom to elect a new monarch. From 1872 to 1873, several relatives of the Kamehameha line were nominated. In a ceremonial popular vote and a unanimous legislative vote, William C. Lunalilo, grand-nephew of Kamehameha I, became Hawaii's first of two elected monarchs, but only reigned from 1873–1874 due to his early death. Kalakaua dynasty. Like his predecessor, Lunalilo failed to name an heir to the throne. Once again, the legislature of the Kingdom of Hawaii needed an election to fill the royal vacancy. Queen Emma, widow of Kamehameha IV, was nominated along with David Kalakaua. The 1874 election was a nasty political campaign in which both candidates resorted to mudslinging and innuendo. David Kalakaua became the second elected king of Hawaii but without the ceremonial popular vote of Lunalilo. the choice of the legislature was controversial, and US and British troops were called upon to suppress rioting by Queen Emma's supporters, the Emaites. Hoping to avoid uncertainty in the monarchy's future, Kalakaua proclaimed several heirs to the throne to define a line of succession. His sister Liliuokalani would succeed the throne upon Kalakaua's death, with Princess Victoria Kaiulani to follow. If she could not produce an heir by birth, Prince David Lemiakauaneinako then Prince Jonah Kahiakalania Niole would rule after her. Bayonet Constitution equals. In 1887, a constitution was drafted by Lauren A. Thurston, Minister of Interior under King Kalakaua. The constitution was proclaimed by the king after a meeting of 3,000 residents including an armed militia demanded he sign it or be deposed. The document created a constitutional monarchy like the United Kingdom's, stripping the king of most of his personal authority, empowering the legislature and establishing cabinet government. It has since become widely known as the Bayonet Constitution, because of the threat of force used to gain Kalakaua's cooperation. The 1887 Constitution empowered the citizenry to elect members of the House of Nobles. It increased the value of property a citizen must own to be eligible to vote above the previous Constitution of 1864 and denied voting rights to Asians who comprised a large proportion of the population. This guaranteed a voting monopoly to wealthy native Hawaiians and Europeans. The Bayonet Constitution continued allowing the monarch to appoint cabinet ministers, but stripped him of the power to dismiss them without approval from the legislature. Liliuokalani's constitution equals. In 1891, Kalakaua died and his sister Liliuokalani assumed the throne. She came to power during an economic crisis precipitated in part by the McKinley Tariff. By rescinding the Reciprocity Treaty of 1875, the new tariff eliminated the previous advantage Hawaiian exporters enjoyed in trade to U.S. markets. Many Hawaiian businesses and citizens were feeling the pressures of the loss of revenue, so Liliuokalani proposed a lottery and opium licensing to bring in additional revenue for the government. Her ministers and closest friends tried to dissuade her from pursuing the bills, and these controversial proposals were used against her in the looming constitutional crisis. Liliuokalani wanted to restore power to the monarch by abrogating the 1887 constitution. The Queen launched a campaign resulting in a petition to proclaim a new constitution. Many citizens and residents who in 1887 had forced Kalakaua to sign the Bayonet Constitution became alarmed when 3 of her recently appointed cabinet members informed them that the Queen was planning to unilaterally proclaim her new constitution. Some cabinet ministers were reported to have feared for their safety after upsetting the Queen by not supporting her plans. Overthrow equals. In 1893, local businessmen and politicians, composed of 6 non-native Hawaiian Kingdom subjects, 5 American nationals, 1 British national, and 1 German national, all of whom were living and doing business in Hawaii, overthrew the Queen, her cabinet and her marshal, and took over the government of the Kingdom of Hawaii. Historians suggest that businessmen were in favor of overthrow and annexation to the U.S. in order to benefit from more favorable trade conditions with its main export market. The McKinley Tariff of 1890 eliminated the previously highly favorable trade terms for Hawaii's sugar exports, a main component of the economy. In response to Liliuokalani's move, a group of European and American residents formed a Committee of Safety on January 14, 1893 in opposition to the Queen and her plans. After a mass meeting of supporters, the committee committed itself to the removal of the Queen, and seeking annexation to the United States. United States Government Minister John L. Stevens summoned a company of uniformed U.S. Marines from the USS Boston and 2 companies of U.S. sailors to land on the Kingdom and take up positions at the U.S. Legation, Consulate, and Orion Hall on the afternoon of January 16, 1893. This deployment was at the request of the Committee of Safety, which claimed an imminent threat to American lives and property. Stevens was accused of ordering the landing himself on his own authority, and inappropriately using his discretion. Historian William Russ concluded that the injunction to prevent fighting of any kind made it impossible for the monarchy to protect itself. 1895 Counter-revolution in Hawaii equals. On July 17, 1893, Sanford B. Dole and his committee took control of the government and declared itself the Provisional Government of Hawaii to rule until annexation by the United States, and lobbied the United States for it. Dole was president of both governments. During this time, members of the former government lobbied in Washington for the United States to restore the Hawaiian Kingdom. President Grover Cleveland considered the overthrow to have been an illegal act of war. He refused to consider annexation of the islands and initially worked to restore the Queen to her throne. Between December 14, 1893 and January 11, 1894 a standoff occurred between the United States, Japan, and the United Kingdom against the provisional government to pressure them into returning the Queen, known as the Black Week. This incident drove home the message that President Cleveland wanted Queen Liliuokalani's return to power. So on July 4, 1894 the Republic of Hawaii was proclaimed to wait for President Cleveland's second term to finish. Also in 1894, as lobbying continued in Washington, the Royalist faction was secretly amassing an army of 600 strong led by former Captain of the Guard Samuel Nowleen. In 1895 they attempted a counter-rebellion, and Liliuokalani was arrested when a weapons cache was found on the palace grounds. She was tried by a military tribunal of the Republic, convicted of treason, and placed under permanent house arrest in her own home. On January 24, 1895, while under house arrest, Liliuokalani was forced to sign a 5-page declaration as Liliuokalani Dominis, in which she formally abdicated the throne in return for the release of her jailed supporters, including Minister Joseph Naiwahi, Prince Kaune Nako, Robert Wilcox, and Prince Joe Nakayo. Before ascending the throne, for 14 years, or since the date of my proclamation as heir apparent, my official title had been simply Liliuokalani. Thus I was proclaimed both Princess Royal and Queen. Thus it is recorded in the archives of the government to this day. The provisional government nor any other had enacted any change in my name. All my official acts, as well as my private letters, were issued over the signature of Liliuokalani. But when my jailers required me to sign, I did as they commanded. Their motive in this as in other actions was plainly to humiliate me before my people and before the world. I saw in a moment, what they did not, that, even were I not complying under the most severe and exacting duress, by this demand they had overreached themselves. There is not, and never was, within the range of my knowledge, any such a person as Liliuokalani Dominis. Territorial extent. The kingdom came about in 1795 in the aftermath of the Battle of Nuuanu, with the conquest of Maui, Molokaʻi and Oʻahu. It should be noted that Kamehameha had conquered Maui and Molokaʻi 5 years prior in the Battle of Kipaniwai, but they were abandoned when Kamehameha's Big Island possession were under threat and later reconquered by the aged King Kahekili II of Maui. His domain comprised 6 of the major islands of the Hawaiian chain, and with Kamehameha's peaceful surrender, Kauaʻi and Niʻihau were added to his territories. Kamehameha II assumed de facto control of Kauaʻi and Niʻihau when he kidnapped Kamehameha, ending his vassal rule over the islands. In 1822, Queen Keʻaumanu and her husband King Kamaialii travelled with Captain William Sumner to find Niʻihau, as her generation had only known the island through songs and myths. Later, King Kamehameha IV sailed there to officially annex the island. Kamehameha IV and Kalakaua would later add islands including Pearl and Hermes Atoll, Necker Island, Laysan, Lzionski Island, Jarvis Island, Johnston Atoll, Palmyra Atoll, Samarong, Ocean Atoll, Midway Atoll, French Frigate Shoals, Maro Reef and Gardner Pinnacles. The Stewart Islands or Sakaiana was ceded to Hawaii in 1856 by its residents, but it was never formalized by the Hawaiian government. Royal estates. Early in its history, the Kingdom of Hawaii was governed from several locations including coastal towns on the islands of Hawaii and Maui. It wasn't until the reign of Kamehameha III that a capital was established in Honolulu on the island of Oʻahu. By the time Kamehameha V was king, he saw the need to build a royal palace fitting of the Kingdom of Hawaii's newfound prosperity and standing with the royals of other nations. He commissioned the building of the palace at Aliʻialani Hale. He died before it was completed. Today, The palace houses the Supreme Court of the state of Hawaii. David Kalakaua shared the dream of Kamehameha to build a palace, and eagerly desired the trappings of European royalty. He commissioned the construction of Iʻailani Palace. In later years, the palace would become his sister's makeshift prison under guard by the forces of the Republic of Hawaii, the site of the official raising of the U.S. flag during annexation, and then territorial governors and legislatures' offices. It is now a museum. Palaces and royal grounds List of Hawaiian royal residences. Notable people. People of the Kingdom of Hawaii. See also, List of missionaries to Hawaii, Committee of Safety, Republic of Hawaii, Legislature of the Hawaiian Kingdom, List of bilateral treaties signed by the Kingdom of Hawaii, Kingdom of Hawaii United States relations, Hawaii Tahiti relations, Hawaiian sovereignty movement, U.S. federal recognition of native Hawaiians. References. External links, Christopher Byers. The Kamehameha Dynasty Genealogy. Royal Ark website. Retrieved February 16, 2010. Henry Sosnowski. Index to Kingdom of Hawaii Genealogy webpage on Rowat's Web. Retrieved February 16, 2010. Monarchy in Hawaii Part 1, Monarchy in Hawaii Part 2, Kingdom of Hawaii at Extents.